Good evening. You guys all look beautiful out there. Just want to let you know that. This is what solidarity and unity looks like. Beautiful community, inside and out. But just for the record, I want you to know that I am not here because Mayor Lee has asked me to be here. I am here because I'm an Elk Grovian just like all of you. And my kids graduated from Florin High. I also was an employee of the Elk Grove School District back in the 90s. So I know what racism looks like in this school district. And it's a shame that we're here in 2020 and we're still facing the same problems that we were facing back in 1996. I have been an elected official statewide, representing 14,000 people throughout the state of California under the University of California. This is for you, Bobby Allen, Singh Allen. As an elected leader, you have a fiduciary duty to uphold the vows that you take when you take oath in your office. And that oath simply states that you are going to represent all people and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. How dare you, and I mean how dare you, take this community and use it as your platform to do your dirty politics. It is not accepted, it's not welcome, and it won't be tolerated. I stand with the Hmong community. I have lots of friends in the Hmong community, and they're beautiful, and they're strong, and they're courageous, and I think you saw a little bit of that today. Do the right thing, and you know what the right thing is. Have a good evening.
Our next, let's go ahead and move on to Gurniel Boparai. He is the AD9 delegate. Please welcome.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Gurniel Boparai, and I am a local Assembly District delegate. I would like to state that the Sikh community of Elk Grove stands with the Hmong community. Here is what I have to say briefly. This is not the first time Bobby Singh Allen has failed a minority community. She originates from a Punjabi Sikh family just like I do. However, Bobby Singh Allen has failed to represent the numerous Sikh children who have been bullied at Elk Grove Unified Schools. I can speak on a number of cases, one even as recent as last academic school year during remote learning. Imagine that, getting bullied during remote learning. However, for the sake of the victims, all I will have to say is that Bobby is yet to respond, let alone represent. Furthermore, Bobby Singh Allen has failed to recognize the 1984 Sikh genocide and the trauma that still affects our Sikh community today. Rather, she has chosen to fund her campaign with sources outside of Elk Grove that benefit from the corruption in our motherland due to the 1984 Sikh genocide. Think about that. She is collecting money outside of Elk Grove with foreign interests.
Wow. Tell it.
You know, I have read a little bit on the secret war in Laos and of the refugees. I know there are similarities in our struggles, and the Sikh community and the Hmong and what we have faced in the recent decades. I ask, if Bobby refuses to acknowledge her own community's trauma and the injustices we have endured for her own personal gain, is she fit to represent any minority community? No! I believe Bobby's recent actions have already provided us an answer. It is time again that we take to the ballot and ensure that diversity of Elk Grove is respected in local cities. I just want to say that, again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I hope that we can heal together and that we can come out of this situation stronger as a community. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gurneel. I'd like to welcome a former Elk Grove Unified School District parent, Leticia Gilmore.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I want to thank Mr. David Fumavong and Dr. Foto Sheikh for inviting me to come out to this awesome gathering. So, as you heard, my husband and I are former Elk Grove School District parents. We have 4 children that have been in the school district. 2 are adults now. We have a 16-year-old and an 11-year-old. But the reason, other than COVID, for why we, as the reason we pulled out our youngest, we pulled our 16-year-old because of the bias that our 3 sons have experienced in the Elk Grove Unified School District. 2 particular instances for my 16-year-old. One, in one of his classes that he just had last year in his freshman year, the teacher decided to segregate him and separate him from the rest of the class purposely and humiliated my son, and my son came home hurt, but he's supposed to work with the group he's assigned to, but they can't exchange information. But she told us she wanted our son to be successful, but she set him up to fail. In another instance, in a class my son was in middle school, there were a couple of his friends and some other students who got suspended because one had brought alcohol to school and they had been drinking and got caught. So upon one of his friends' return, in the class, the teacher has the audacity out loud to the students say, well, you know he's one of the drunks. And my son says to her, why did you say that? You're wrong for making that statement. And so what she did was sent my son out on a referral. So when a male staff member came to talk to my son about what he said, he basically told him, my silence about what she says means that I agree that what she said was right. And it was not. What she said was wrong. So I'm here to let Bobby Singh Allen know that what she said was wrong. You know, as I was here and listening to the young ladies who started off the speeches, one of them said something powerful. She said, today, the target is the Hmong community. Tomorrow, it could be your community. My Hmong sister, let me tell you something. For 400 years, the target has always been the black community. So, Hmong community, I understand your pain because we've been targeted for 400 years. Ali Mu and I were talking about Bobby Singh Allen's comments and the negative impact that it has had on your community, just like any other stereotype that is placed on a community of color. I don't know if any of you saw the press conference she had, I'm sure a lot of you did, where she said she wants to bring the community together. But that's not gonna happen when you make blanketed racist comments against any community of color. That's right. That's right. As I look at all of you here, and I heard the same thing over and over, that we will not be silenced. And I thank you men for speaking up to let it be heard that you are not silencing your women. And my brother right here said, but we empower our women. And so to hear those young ladies who spoke, I want to let you know, Hmong community, tonight, your voices have been heard. As you see, my shirt says, I don't know if you can see it, but it is a mantra that I have lived by for the last few years and will continue to live by. It says, silent no more. My life matters. So tonight, you are refusing to be silent anymore about the racism, the bias, the bigotry that exists here in Elk Grove, and as our illustrious former elected official has said, still exists in this school district. And I'm inspired by John Lewis to say tonight, if we're getting in trouble, guess what? We're getting in good trouble. We're getting in necessary trouble. And I want to encourage and challenge you as I stand with you as your African American sister, but tonight I'm Hmong on tonight. To be silent no more, because my life matters and your life matters. My voice matters and your voice matters. And in November, my vote matters, and guess what? Your vote matters. God bless you all.
All right, thank you so much for that, Leticia. Our next speaker is Dr. Firdaus Sheikh. She's an Elk Grove neurologist and has been for 30 years. She is also a community activist. Please welcome Dr. Sheikh.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start off saying I am so proud and honored to be part of the Hmong community today. What I want to start off focusing is that when there is one bad leader, it creates an entire community of leaders. Today, what I saw and heard helps me understand what it means to truly empower yourself. I want to thank Leticia, Maurice, and the gentleman, Anthony, I believe his name is, for coming and standing with us here in solidarity. I stand with the Hmong community just like they stand with the Hmong community. What do we have in common today? What we have in common today is that multiple minorities suffer the same kind of racism and bigotry. The reason Martin Luther King is remembered even today is because many people like all of you stood behind him, standing for what is right. You have to give yourself a pat on your back because you took the time today to come out and stand here in solidarity for one reason, and that is to put an end to racism.
Keep the dream alive!
When we have a leader who's propagating hate, division, and racism, if we are silent, that leads to violence from these leaders. And if you look at the Black community, for 400 years they have been struggling. As much as it pains our heart to watch what is happening to one African American after the other, we feel the pain, we suffer. It impacts our mental health. None of us should be living this oppressed life. Why do we elect leaders in public service? It is so that they can take care of the public, not give them pain. The first thing to understand today is Bobby Singh Allen is a pathetic leader. She has failed not just her own community that she represents, she has failed the Hmong community, she has failed the Black community, she has failed every minority because she is one insensitive leader. Yes, she is a bully. Thank you for reminding me. When a leader manifests deliberate disregard to a community that is hurting, when she deliberately disregards the fact that she has called them attack dogs, sheep, claiming that she is a lion, if she says you are a Klansman who practice silencing women, those are huge allegations. This not only tells you that she is uneducated, immature, but a pathetic leader, because she does not understand the ramification of what this is going to lead to. It is this type of labeling people that has subjected the black community to ongoing torment. Today I urge my Indian family out there, my Muslim families out there, my black families out there, my Asian families out there. Racism is a disease that is targeted at all minorities. Nobody escapes it. Like Sean Yang said, and Ali Mo, who I have a lot of respect for, thank you for speaking up. They said, today it is us, tomorrow it's going to be you. So, if you're comfortable and sitting in your homes today, it's because the Hmongs are taking the pain for you today. So tomorrow when you get targeted, if you want the Hmongs to be standing by you, today you will stand with them. Because there is no room for complacency. Leadership is not about a private club. It is not about your friends pushing you to leadership. Leadership is about people. And it is about all the people of El Grove. So if she, yes. Now, I want to give an opportunity for the school board and for the city council to manifest their leadership by recognizing Bobby Singh Allen's failed leadership. This is not rocket science. Anybody who listens to her, anybody who reads about what she says, it takes you 2 minutes to understand that Bobby Singh Allen has to be taken down from her leadership. A woman who is not even sensitive to her own culture. She targets her Sikh community like as if they belong to some horrific patriarchal community. Every community has its positives and negatives. Who is perfect? Nobody is. But we all know as minorities that we became who we are today because of thousands of years of struggle and heritage. We have a culture, we have a tradition, and we have an identity. That's right. If Bobby Singh Allen is so ill-informed that she chooses to discount a heritage that speaks of thousands of years of sacrifice, she has no place in any leadership. So I urge all of you today, what happens when a bad leader shows up? Chaos. It is an opportunity for all the minorities, and in fact every single person in the El Grove community, to stand up and demand a good leader. Because once you give them the power of leadership, you can see the damage they can do. Her disregard, her lack of remorse, her lack of even understanding the damage she's doing, that should tell you that we have to be extra careful who we put our vote for. My appeal goes to every person in El Grove. When I go and raise my voice for George Floyd, and stand in solidarity with the black community, Steve Lee does not send me there. When I go and stand for a vigil that happened to some other community, even the Muslim community, when they get targeted, Steve Lee is not sending me there. If you look at it, Bobby Singh Allen has conveniently shoved all the blame on Steve Lee. What she's forgetting is that every single person in Elk Grove is intelligent, and what they don't see her is take responsibility for the nonsense that she is propagating in Elk Grove. So if any of you can understand what she is saying in the pretext of being a leader, she says, I want to be a mayor because Steve Lee is a bully. How intelligent is that? How intelligent is that?
Not very intelligent.
And what is even more stupid, pardon my language, is that she has not provided any proof for the bully tales that she has, which is already 8 years old. So if this is the kind of leader we want, then please come out of your comfort level. Ask yourself who should be standing in the position of leadership. Listen to the children of Elk Grove. She has literally hurt the school children. Elk Grove is a family-oriented town. We raise wonderful families. I've been here for 30 years. Like our Sikh gentleman here said, we didn't have dirty politics 2 years ago. If all of a sudden we are being consumed with dirty politics, all the fingers point to one new player, and that is Bobby Singh Allen. Take her down. That's all I say. Take her down. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity, and I love all of you. I appreciate this opportunity. I stand in solidarity till you win this race. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sheikh. Our next speaker is Hmong veteran from the Secret War, Tsepo. Please welcome Tsepo.
nhớ rong ý chồng này thì cái tin anh cha để nó cũng bề hồ tại bỏ nó cũng tua nó cũng chỉ tua và sở chế ý phá căn mường từ là do thì tua tổ su lần từ tại chỉ nó cũng tua thân gà cho kiến dân dân thì tua và khi bé lúc này thì do vì đã chỉ bé họ mua nông nghiệp lý cha thì bé tua đã chỉ trâu lúc tới chợ nó giờ lên nó lửa hai năng nhưng sẽ chỉ tàu bé nhưng xã thì bé giờ ít cho năng thọ nó thọ hậu tại vì cô sở chế ít của tôi trò ok rồi nè giờ lần từ thế li mua tàu cho xia cho một bao ít cho năng và cho đi còn nơi tàu cho xia là một chỗ cho chế giờ bé cho nó đó mà vì tàu thì cô giờ ít của tôi trò mê thầu cô nó nhung mua đi chua xong của mua trò ba trong phơi CIA lúc tới chồng bò giờ y lúc tới chồng bên cang America chỉ sắm gà tàu cho lúc tới chồng bò giờ li nó bò mua ô tô ít tàu giờ xa lâu tàu giờ xa xì giờ America giờ tuôn gà cho họ nếu giờ tăng mạnh trong tiệt tê America tới đi sửa lô cả nó tua mua trò nhau trò như là cái tê giờ lên đó America từ cái nơi chỉ mua ít cho cái tờ giờ trò chỉ tàu nơi cho tôi trò nhau như là cái tê tờ nơi tê tua tí tàu cho trồng phun bò thì chỉ bò giờ lúc tê chờ bên cạnh chỉ sắm mà giờ tàu có trò tờ lời thề li mò hồ Secret War giờ lên nó là thề mò có trò nòng bò tôi thọท่านเป็นคนว่าปอ có thân là phần bỏ bê ua bao giả hậu lử ba trộn trọng phía America giờ lấy giả thị y bê gió lu rồi ra nhau trộn phụ bạc thị giả thị o có bê xía cho kế Hồ Chí Minh Trail có cho tàu cho tú trò chỉ cho phá tù nhân ra nhớ là cái tên là digital lo là có bê cho chỉ phá tù có tàu là chế giả thị bê ba cho America và tàu bông nhau ở trong một tour trở tụ tiệt tế Hồ Chí Minh Trail nữa ở bông cho năm bên bê ba giả thị bao có trở có tàu lu trong lông chén lọ qua America sẽ lôi hết của đấy giờ này nó bé thế tàu lồng tàu ba America cho nó qua cho thọ America tàu thì tu cho sư tu can mương kia cho Indo China nó đã cá lò mù lỡ bé thế li nó chỉ tàu nhau chỉ tàu bé thế li tàu tua một chỗ lúc thế theo nó mà cú chui học bé mẹ đi nó sư chỉ nhau ý hai năng tư do sai chỉ tàu bé do có do chạy chụp bé cú xa tiệt bé sau đó bữa nay năng ý ya xa còn lâu là cháu lử do nhện gà cho họ thừa còn nhện gà nhà cháu lử để cho một chỗ chùa cho một chạy chùa ấy ba bữa năng tư họ nó cú tua nó cú chùa tua chân gà xa tàu cho cái nhân dân có sai tàu bé trồng năng bé chia tua thằng nó thầu u lù mà nó sẽ u chân đó.
All right, our next speaker is Michael Armstrong. He is our Sacramento resident, grew up in foster and group homes, and he now runs a local nonprofit called Community Advocate Reaching Out to Everyone. Please welcome Michael Armstrong.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. So, originally, I made a whole nice speech, and then I decided not to do it. So I'm pretty sure most people here have heard the term thug. Those people, one of the kids came up here and said that rough around the edges. Before I finish what I'm going to say, I'd like to give a round of applause to the kids that are up here. You guys were amazing. So, as an African American, surprise everybody, I was apparently a thug, which I've never been to jail, I've never been in a gang, I've had a couple of gang member friends, but never ran with them. So you hear this a lot. Those thugs deserve this. Or when you see a person that magically looks like me on TV, they deserve this and they shouldn't have been a criminal. And whenever they get shot, they go and find some elaborate thing. Oh, well, they had a record, they had a felony. Last time I checked, being a criminal does not mean you should die. Committing a crime does not mean you should die. So we recently had an elected official that is, let's say, Mr. Cheetos, say that black people need to learn their history or they might repeat it, which infers that, well, I'm pretty sure that everyone knows what that infers. We have had officials say things like, Hmong people are thugs and the Hmong people oppress women. Whenever you hear these things from elected officials, we need to hold them accountable. And we need to ask them why they say that. We need to ask them where they get their information from. Challenge them. Challenge me. Challenge everyone, for that matter of fact. But if they cannot answer for themselves, they don't deserve to be in office. They don't deserve to represent us. They don't deserve to be talking. So we are here I'm here, and we all are here to support the Hmong community. Hmong community has been here for 40 plus years. Hmong people have been an intricate part of this country since they started, before they even got here. They supported us supported us in war, supported us in business, supported us in arms, ammunition, all sorts of things. In Sacramento alone, we have nonprofits founded by Hmong people, Hmong women, supported by Hmong men and Hmong women. We have car dealerships, we have car mechanics, we have bakeries, we have stores, we have pretty much every industry, in farms even. Every industry we have at least somewhere a Hmong person there. We have Hmong people in office, we have Hmong people in local government, we have Hmong people in Senate. The only thing I can think of that we don't have Hmong people is in the White House, which that might happen one day. When I was a kid, I was about 6 years old, and I had to ask my mom, why was someone afraid of me? I did nothing wrong. And it was because, once again, that term, thugs. And I was 6. And my mom had to explain to me that I was black, which, as a 6-year-old, I still had no clue what that meant. When I was 12, I had to be explained to why cops didn't like me and what was going to happen to me. When I was 25, I had to then explain to one of my cousins why when we walked past this person's house, and less than a minute later, they had all their stuff moved really fast inside the house and grabbed their kids and ran from us. One of my cousins is here today. That's not the same cousin, but I'm here to be an example to him, be an example to people here of how to be. We need to hold people accountable. If you are an elected official, you are elected. That means we the people have put you there. We the people can take you out. Hold everyone accountable for their actions, regardless whether they like it or not. I'm done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Our next speaker is APID's president, David Famavong. Please welcome David Famavong.
Thank you. Well, first of all, can you hear me okay back there? If not, I can yell too. All right. First, I want to thank all the protest organizers, the Hmong American ad hoc team, the Hmong American kinship, and countless private citizens that came together to put this event together. I'm honored to stand with you today against racism. Racism is a form of cancer that eats away the fabric of our society. It is our civic duty to stop the spreading of racism. I stand with you today to draw a line. Racism is wrong. It has no place in society. So let's look back in time. I'll make a reference to an article, a research paper that was done by Ono and Berg. It is entitled Intermarriage of Japanese and Japanese Americans with Whites Surrounding World War II, and I quote, "Soon after the attack of Pearl Harbor, President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued an executive order 9066. The primary parties lobbying for the internment of Japanese were white farmers on the East Coast. The order gave the Army authority to intern 120,000 or 97% of persons of Japanese descent. The history of the American Japanese internment camp is well known. However, not many people know what happened to Japanese American post-internment. I'm going to share with you some of those things. Many Japanese Americans found that their former homes were sold, rented to war workers who moved to the West Coast. Their homes and farms have been vandalized and all their belongings have been stolen. Heightened hostility against individuals of the Japanese origin also characterized the post-war resettlement. Quote from a Japanese veteran: "When I came home from the service in 1945, people would spit on me and push me off the road. After the internment camp, more than 50% of Japanese Americans married outside their race. More than 50% of Japanese men and women married outside their race. Why? Because the concentration camp made them feel the shame of who they are. They were also afraid that it could happen to them again. I repeat, 50% of Japanese men and women married outside their race. History tells us a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. So let me remind you, BSA, those of you out there who don't know Hmong history, let me remind you why the Hmong Americans are in the United States. Hmong Americans are in the United States because they fought during the Vietnam War in the secret war with the CIA. Hmong soldiers, Laotian soldiers, rescued American jet pilots who were shot down. Hundreds and thousands of Hmong and Laotian men died in that war. After the war, it was not enough. After the war, the Communist Party persecuted the Hmong people. They killed thousands, innocent men, women, children. Thousands went to the re-education camp. The re-education camp is a hard labor camp. Only a few survived. It is in this context I want Bobby Singh Allen to know. I want the public to know about the sacrifices of the Hmong veterans, Laotian men who died in the war. The freedom that Hmong Americans enjoy today was paid in blood. Recently, Bobby Singh Allen made a reckless statement and mischaracterized Hmong men to invalidate them. That is a slap in the face to Hmong veterans, to their widows, to their family, and to all veterans in general. My father fought in the secret war. I speak today in his memory. I want him to know that the civil liberties and equality that he fought for, they are protected today, and they did not die in vain. When I first read the commentary for Bobby Singh Allen, Jacqueline Moreno, and many other women who spoke recklessly about Hmong men, what came to my mind is that I am not Hmong. But how many can tell us apart? How many can tell us apart?
Not many at all.
How many people can tell 49 ethnic groups from Laos apart?
Nobody.
And that is the danger to the API community. And that is the danger the API community faces. When they see me, they see an Asian man. They don't ask me if I'm Chinese. They don't ask me if I'm Vietnamese. They don't ask me if I'm Lao. They don't ask me if I'm Hmong. Their implicit bias leads them to conclude that my kind oppresses and silences women. It is this unintended consequence of their words, and let me put this in a way that we can all understand. In my past life, I'm still alive, what I did before, I was an IT executive, a vice president. When I go to apply for a job today in senior management as a director or vice president, they may look at my resume, they may look at my qualifications, and I can interview well. However, the hiring manager, the HR person who drinks the Kool-Aid and subscribe to the belief that Hmong men or Hmong clan system, or Asian men for that matter, oppress and silence women, it is no longer about my qualification. It is no longer about how well I interviewed. To them, I am a ticking time bomb with untold liability that no company ever want to deal with. Bobby Singh Allen's implicit bias has the potential to create a glass wall for all Asian men. If their intent is that, then they know exactly what they're doing. If that is not their intent, they need to apologize and end it now. We have seen an increase in attacks against Asians in the pandemic. Many of us have nothing to do with the virus or the spreading of the virus. In fact, many Asians have died from COVID-19. I have friends that have died from COVID-19. But yet, in America today, Asians are held accountable. This is no different than what happened to the Muslim community following 9/11. It's been 19 years and the Muslim community are still dealing with racism. This is what happened to the Japanese Americans post-internment camp. I see it repeating again in this election cycle. In this election cycle, here locally in Elk Grove, it is open hunting season on the Hmong community. Tomorrow, it could be the Chinese, the next day, the Vietnamese community, the Laotian community, you name it, it could happen to any community tomorrow. We must stand together and end racism. Let me close with this poem because history does teach us a little bit about what happens in the future. The title of the poem is called First Day Came by Martin Neumer. This poem was written following the rise of Nazi Germany. Subsequently to that, the purging of their chosen targets, group by group. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak. Then they came for the trade unions, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade union. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out because I'm not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. End quote. Today, I fear the words from Bobby Singh Allen will have generational impacts too. That is why I sent I sent an email to 37 public officials, elected officials, Elk Grove City Council, Elk Grove School Board, Sacramento School Board, and private citizens and API leadership. I received a response from a few, and you have heard from them tonight. I also received a response from Mayor Lee, who wants to share this